Okay, welcome to the intentional grounding training. So first of all, what is intentional grounding? If a quarterback throws a pass to an area where there is no eligible receiver, he must be or have been outside the tackle box and throw the pass beyond the line of scrimmage. If the passer fails to do either of these two things, we are going to have a foul for intentional grounding. Now, the way the rule is actually written is it says that the quarterback may not pass the ball to an area where there is no eligible receiver, and it makes these exceptions right here that have to be used together. But there is a third one that I forgot to put on the slideshow, and that's that these exceptions only apply to the original player that took the snap. So if you have a attempted halfback pass, and the running back then dumps the ball out of bounds and there's nobody around, that's going to be intentional grounding. Hey, April. We had light attendance today, so I was just recording the meeting to put onto the website. If you've got any questions or anything for me, though, feel free to ask. All right, let's jump over to the next slide. Okay, the position responsibilities on the field. The referee must know if the quarterback is in the tackle box when the pass is made. Now, if the passer leaves the tackle box and then comes back, he's considered to still be out of the tackle box. Once he leaves, it evaporates and he can dump the ball even if he runs back towards the middle of the field, gets in there, and then throws it out in some area where there is no receiver. Flanks must know if the ball crossed the line of scrimmage, and you need to know if there was a receiver in your area. Now, the umpire, you can assist the flanks with ruling on if the ball crossed the line of scrimmage or if there is a receiver in your area, but it's unlikely that you're going to know if you had a receiver. You might have an idea of if it passed the line of scrimmage if they really need some help, but really the flanks are going to be primary on this. You're just going to be helping out if you can from the umpire position. And the back judge, you must know if a receiver is in your area. You're probably not going to have an opinion on whether the ball crossed the line of scrimmage or not. If you are having to come in and rule on that, something has gone very wrong. Okay, if you see a pass that falls into an area with no eligible receivers, what do? Number one, you finish dead ball officiating. Number two, you run to the referee and let them know that you have a pass to an area with no eligible receivers. And then you give the referee information on whether the ball crossed the line of scrimmage if you have it. So this is mostly going to apply to the flanks and the back judge. If you have some ball that just goes way out over your head and there's no receiver in the area, you should be running to the referee to give the referee the information you have. And the reason I say run is that there's a time element to this. The referee is only going to hold the quarterback spot for so long. So you need to get to that referee and let them know that you've got information on a potential foul, because if you do end up having intentional grounding, the spot that the passer threw the ball from is going to be our spot of the foul. So it makes enforcement of this penalty really difficult if you wait for the referee to walk away from where the passer was and then come in and start giving this information. Now, if you do have a pass that is thrown somewhat in the area of you as an official and you've got a eligible receiver in the area, go ahead and just signal that you've got an incomplete pass and then point at that receiver that's in the area to let everybody know that you saw that the pass was incomplete over there and you have ruled that there is not going to be intentional grounding because we have a eligible receiver in the area. Also, I want you guys to note there is no point here where the flanks, the umpire, or the back judge throw a flag. The referee is the only one that will have a flag for intentional grounding. And we'll see a little bit more on that in some film after this. Okay, there's a forward progress consideration here. And this is only going to be for the referees. If the passer is being driven backwards and the sack is imminent, and as a last-ditch effort, the quarterback throws the ball forward and it's incomplete behind the line of scrimmage, no receiver in the area. Let's try and think about ruling this dead on forward progress. Because if forward progress was stopped before the passer releases the ball, we should default to ruling the play dead and having no foul. Because by rule, since the forward progress had ended, the play is over and we can't have a dead ball foul for intentional grounding. So we want to default here to giving the defense the sack and moving on. We don't want to have to take the time to throw the flag and talk to everybody and force the intentional grounding, move them back 5 yards, when really the defense is just going to be happy they got a sack and we can keep the pace of the game moving. All right, and now one more aspect of intentional grounding. Intentional grounding must be intentional. So there are a number of situations where this could come into play. Number one, you could imagine a quarterback that is going to be in the motion of passing the ball. He's hit, and then the ball flutters off to the side, no receiver in the area. The quarterback did not intentionally throw the ball there. If he gets hit halfway through his throw and the ball falls where there's no receiver, we're not going to have a foul for intentional grounding. Also, imagine a scenario where there's maybe an option route and the receiver starts running down the sideline, and at 10 yards, he stops and starts to come back to the quarterback. Now, the quarterback misread the play, and he thought he saw the corner settling, and his receiver was going to run deep. So he airmails the ball 20 yards past the receiver. And it's a clear and obvious miscommunication. We're not going to have a foul there for intentional grounding either, because if there really was a miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver, then that is not intentional. All right. Timing. Quarterback's in the tackle box and he throws the pass that falls incomplete with no receiver in the area. As referees, we should be thinking all of a sudden, antennas should be up. Something's going on here. But in this situation, the first scenario, quarterback was throwing the ball and he was hit halfway through the throw. That's the scenario we just talked about. There's no foul there for intentional grounding. Number two, quarterback is being dragged to the ground and he throws the pass to avoid the sack. His forward progress was not being stopped. This scenario could be quarterback's rolling out, defenders running him down from behind, makes contact, he's dragging the quarterback down, and the quarterback just throws the ball forward in an act of desperation, trying to not get sacked. Here we would have a foul for intentional grounding because the quarterback is still in the tackle box, the receiver or the ball never makes it to the line of scrimmage, and there are no receivers in the area. All right, let's jump over to some film. We've only got a couple plays today. There's not a lot of great film on high school football intentional grounding, so I did throw a few college plays together. Okay, so we've got the passer who is definitely outside the tackle box. When he throws the ball, he's way out. The ball clearly makes it past the line of scrimmage, which is right here, this black line. But we still got a foul for intentional grounding here, because if you go back and look, number 12 takes the initial snap. Number 9 ends up being our passer. Number 9 does not get any of the exceptions we talked about. Number 9 must throw the ball in the area of an eligible receiver. You can see here, he throws it way out of bounds. The ball looks like it's already crossed the sideline, and number 1 is still 15 yards away. So we're going to have a foul there for intentional grounding. All right, we'll look at these two little plays right here. Now, this is old film, so you are going to see the line judge have a flag here. This is not going to be a foul. And the association that put this film up actually notes that this is old film, and they used it for their intentional grounding training tape in the previous year. We wanted to use this film again to illustrate the rule change. So quarterback makes it out of the tackle box. He's taken the initial snap, and now if he wants to throw this ball away, all he's got to do is get it back to the line of scrimmage. All right, and you can't see it super well on film, but he does make the ball back towards this referee over here, this official, and then the line of scrimmage official throws a flag. Now, as I don't know what this association's mechanics are, but in NCOA-Chico, we will never be throwing a flag from the flanks for intentional grounding. It will always be the referee that has a flag. And that's because the penalty is going to be enforced from the spot of the foul, which is all the way back here. So if that was us in this situation, we should be running to the white hat to let him know that the ball had reached the line of scrimmage, and then the referee will say, yeah, I had the quarterback out of the tackle box, and we are not going to have a foul for intentional grounding here. Because even if the ball makes the line of scrimmage, you still want to go over there and communicate clearly with your referee. I've got one more play here for us. And I wanted to add this play because it's one that looks really ugly. I'll back it up for you just a little bit. So here's our quarterback right here that we're going to be watching. That looks ugly. That looks like it should be intentional grounding, right? And a couple years ago in high school, it would have been intentional grounding. But let's go through our checklist here. This player has taken the initial snap. He's now clearly outside the tackle box. He was actually at the beginning of the video, but he's out of the tackle box here. And under pressure, he throws the ball and it makes it to the line of scrimmage. You can see it gets right next to the official who's standing right there at the line of scrimmage. We don't want to split hairs on whether that ball was half a yard short, where it actually crossed the plane of the sideline. A play like this, close enough, we're going to rule this a legal play and have no intentional grounding here. So this was a play that would have been illegal a couple years ago. It is now legal in high school for the quarterbacks to do this. All right, and that ends our